Here's what to do if your insurance claim is denied. This is a tactic that someone was taught by their doctor's office, was to ask the insurance company in writing for the name, board specialty, and license number of the doctor making the determination the treatment was not medically necessary. Because they're supposed to have a doctor decide this is not medically necessary, so you ask for all the details about that doctor. Number 2, copies of all materials they relied on to make their determination. Number 3, proof the doctor making the determination has maintained registration in your specific state and documentation of their meeting all their continuing education requirements, because sometimes they'll have out-of-state people making these judgments when they're not supposed to. Number 4, the aggregate rate at which similar treatments are denied versus approved by that specific doctor being used for peer review. Because these insurance companies, big shock, are going to use doctors that say the things are not worthy of approval like 99% of the time. So if you can get those numbers, that looks pretty awful for the insurance company. And then they continue, this is, my doctor said, a wildly successful tactic, because if the insurance company answers them honestly, it gives you evidence that the quote unquote doctors making these determinations are practicing medicine out of scope, without proper licensing and qualifications, in areas they are not competent in, and probably denying 99% of all the requests. Everyone knows this is true. It's not a secret in any way, but it's in violation of a number of regulations. And a lot of times the company will just give up and pay the bill rather than handing you the proof that they're violating the regulations. It's a tactic that's worked for me many times. And they're not, depending on the state you're in, these insurance companies are not necessarily required to give you this information. Some states they are, but even if they're not required, having these questions asked of them can make them a little nervous, sometimes can have an impact. And maybe they're required to give you some of this. Maybe they're required to tell you the doctor that made the judgment. And, being asked for this information means they can't operate in darkness, which is definitely where they want to be.
Yeah, that is great information.